Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Canadian Football Central, CFL content for the fans, by the fans. Rick.
Hey, Carter, guess what? After last night's game, I guess if the rumors are true that Buck Pierce is going to be the new head coach for BC, I guess BC's offense isn't getting any much greater after last night.
I was about to say, I've heard that Vancouver is interested in Buck Pierce. And if the Bombers could do their fans a favor and don't let him on the plane and just leave him there, just leave him in Vancouver.
I was like, do I want to go with leave him in Vancouver, or is it do I want to say Vancouver's offense won't get any better than the debacle we saw last night?
It's probably a mixture of both. So,
one other thing because I know the wife is sitting beside you.
Yeah.
Guess what? There's actually something more exciting than the friggin' Jonas Brother concert last night. It was this lady streaking on the field.
Yeah. Rick's right.
Than the Jonas Brother concert.
The lady streaking on the field, more interesting than the Jonas Brothers, which I'm sorry, Drake. I know you're a big fan of the Jonas Brothers. Respect to you. Appreciate your support of the channel, but we're just not fans of the Jonas Brothers. So there's a reason that me and Rick are recording this on Monday, and we are not recording this the night of the game.
I thought I'd give Carter some time to salt.
You give me some time. We didn't even get to the Grey Cup presentation. I'm like, Rick, I'm ending the stream. I'm done. I'm
okay. So it's not only the fact that I'll just sum up Carter's last 5 minutes in peace. Buck Pierce is a moron. Doesn't use the MOP, throws the long bomb with a quarterback with a glove on, and then throws two interceptions within like the last 5 minutes. Pretty much sums up what you're gonna say, wasn't it?
Well, there's some of that yes, some of that no. To me, our loss boils down to three main things. Now, I want to preface this with that the Toronto Argonauts played well. They did. However, if you look at the Argos game, and this is not a diss against them, I promise. And this is they played smart. They played the way they needed to play. The Argos don't really do anything that unusual or that crazy something that they don't do anything that the Bombers shouldn't have expected. In the sense of
long bombs.
They stuck to their strengths with Arbuckle in the sense of these relatively short passes and moving the ball first down by first down the field, an occasional longer throw just to keep the defense honest. But they didn't do anything crazy unusual. It was a very run-of-the-mill game for Toronto in terms of the style of play that they played. Whereas with Winnipeg, I don't know where Buck Pierce's mind went after last game. It's like everything we did last game, everything we did, winning those games, it's like he just threw that out the window. And I understand you want to have a little bit of unpredictability as they're watching your film. But when the unpredictability and the stupid overlap, that's where I have a bit of an issue. And so there's three big issues with this game. Buck Pierce's play calling is one of them. One of the others is we hear a backup quarterback goes in, and we don't pressure him. Willie Jefferson did. We played a 3-man front like for 80% of this game. 80%. What are we doing? You hear that a quarterback goes and he's never played a playoff game in his life, and you're like, yeah, let's just give him the pocket. Let's just give it away. And it made no sense. Literally, not even 3 days prior to this, or 2 days, whatever it was, Brady Oliveira wins most outstanding player. And they're like, yeah, by the way, that guy, the best player in the league, what if we didn't use him? What if we just left him standing there? It just seems insane to me. And Buck Pierce, I don't know what it is, but he'll do great play calling through the whole season. And the last 3 Grey Cups, he has changed the game plan completely and then being surprised when the team doesn't perform the way they normally do because they're not playing the same game. And then as the final knife in the dagger, Anyone who took a stupid penalty last night, shame on you. Seriously. Like, I'm not going to lie. Nichols had the dumbest penalty I think I've ever seen, where the play hasn't started. And I don't know if this is just pissed off and needs to let some steam off. Walks up to where the ball is spotted and just swipes at it. What the fuck are you doing? Seriously, what are we going to gain from that? You think the ref's going to be like, oh, I fucked up the spot of the ball. Let's move it 4 yards this way. No, he's going to move you 15 yards back, tell you to go fuck yourself, and you're going to get a touchdown scored against you. Just brain dead. And then we go to punt. We got to block a punt. We got a beautiful block. It's magnificent. It's wonderful. And you know what's great about this is that no matter who jumps on the ball, because it's behind the line of scrimmage, that's our ball. It's turnover on downs. Why are we running interference? We still get possession. What are you doing? Just boneheaded plays, dumb penalties. Seriously, I don't know if I've ever seen the Bombers be so self-sabotaging, because that's what it was for them. Because one thing I want to preface this with that I've seen online, and I'm not going to lie, I'm very much against this. The idea, and I understand why people are going this way, but we'll break it down a little bit going into this video. Everyone on the train of Zach Collaros is washed, we need to get rid of him. Here's my question. Do we make the Grey Cup game without him? I understand that he's made some mistakes. So the first pick he throws, he basically throws it so far, it's basically a punt anyway. And so it doesn't really have a massive effect on the play in terms of a turnover. And then the ones later is because he has to put a glove on, which is a big difference. I'm going to be honest, when I played center, offensive line, couldn't snap with a glove on. Night and day difference between the two. And then the very first play, you try to have him throw like 35 yards down the field, and you don't even give him any chance to get warmed up with him. Because I'm going to tell you right now, those passes he made on the sidelines were not a 35-yard bomb for Kenny Lawler. And then we get surprised when it's a pick six. Buck Pierce, what are you doing? Like, seriously, just
a couple of things. To answer your question, it all depends on who the quarterback is.
In what regard?
Because you're like, oh, well, if we didn't have Zach Collaros, would we gotten into the Grey Cup? It all depends on who the quarterback is.
Yeah, that's true.
Secondly, so the inconsistent of the receivers, is that more on the receivers or is that more on the quarterback?
That varies a bit. I will say it's not like Collaros played insanely well to begin with. He had some issues. But I right now, I'm really trying to shut that shit down in regards to the get rid of Zach Collaros movement that I'm seeing spread around, and the idea that Vernon Adams Jr., a guy who I don't even think he's ever made the Grey Cup, he's been around in the league for like 7 years with some pretty darn good teams. The idea that this guy magically would fix all our problems, even though anytime he's gotten into a playoff game, he'll maybe make it past the West Final, but every time he's had the head-to-head with Collaros with a talented roster, he has failed.
So, a couple of things. So, for the receivers, just to point out a few things, Kenny Lawler went 2 for 7, 27 yards. Yeah. Nick Dembski went 2 for 7, 18 yards. Is it Kedrick Wheatfall? Is that his first name, Kedrick?
I just know him as Wheatfall. I'm going to be real with
you. Okay. Wheatfall went 1 for 5 for 16 yards.
But it's Tarek Wheatfall, because there's only there's no D.
To answer your question, he hasn't played in a Grey Cup that I know of, because I'm looking at it now.
Yeah, because he hasn't made the game. Because he lost
his career numbers, 945 pass completions of 1,488 attempts, 13,261 yards, 80 touchdowns, 45 interceptions,
Yep.
1,400 rushing yards, and 21 rushing touchdowns.
And I understand that Vernon Adams Jr. is a very good quarterback, very capable quarterback. I would never dispute that. Here's the thing. Zach Calero is very much kind of on the same boat in that regard. And one guy has 2 rings and one guy has none. And not only that, Vernon Adams Jr., it's not like he's never made the playoffs. He's made the playoffs and then he's failed. I mean, it sounds cruel, but it's true in the sense of the goal is to get to the Grey Cup and win the Grey Cup. Obviously, the winning the Grey Cup is the most ultimate of goals, but you got to get to the game first. And so the idea that bringing in a guy who hasn't been able to do that would solve our problems in the Grey Cup game seems like utter blasphemy. And so a thing I want people to realize is I want you to look into the history of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Look at all the quarterbacks they've got. Now, one thing I do want to preface with is, especially when you get back to really early years of football, where it was a lot closer to rugby than it is the modern football that we know now, quarterbacks were not nearly as much of a role as they are now. Running back was the more primary role kind of back in the day. When I say back in the day, I'm talking back in the 40s and 50s, even into the 60s, before kind of the passing game really started to develop in the 1980s and in the 70s, and then really started to take off after that. I would challenge anyone to think of a better Blue Bomber quarterback of all time. Honestly, they have had some good quarterbacks. I think Calero's is the best one we've ever had. Calero's name will be in the rafters at IG Field, Princess Auto Stadium, whatever the hell you want to call it. And so if you just want to throw that away, I guess, but I don't think you're looking in the right place. He made mistakes, but again, there are circumstances to that, and there are a lot of other mistakes, in my opinion, that are very much an issue. I talked about the issue with the defense in the lack of pass rush. Willie Jefferson played a great game, 2 sacks, 1 interception, 6 tackles. He did well, but we didn't really see as much. We were able to put a decent amount of pressure, but we could have put so much more with a 40 base with a 43 base instead of a 34 base. And so I just, there's more we could have done there. And I'm not calling for the head of Jordan Younger or whatever. He's been able to do wonders with us defensively, and it's been 1 year. And honestly, I've liked him. I'd like to keep him around. Buck Pierce, he's been able to do a lot of good for this franchise, but at the end of the day, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers offense has looked the same for year after year after year, and they've been able to do a lot. But Buck Pierce hasn't. This isn't the only game where he's changed the playbook completely going into Grey Cup and started calling plays differently. He's done it 3 years straight now. And so it's that law of diminishing returns where you keep doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. And not only that, the law of diminishing returns, it is diminishing returns. As in the previous 2 games, the Bombers kind of lost in the last drive of the field. Bombers lost with 10 minutes left in this game. They lost long before that last drive. And I'm not going to say I'm not disappointed that the Bombers lost. Of course I am. I am disappointed with the way they lost and with how self-sabotaging this team was, as there's a few guys that showed up to play and there's a lot of guys that coasted. And I was disappointed with that. And I was frustrated. And I understand that there were missed calls and this and that, but that you have to... Great teams find a way around that. They do. And at the end of the day, as much as it frustrates me to say this, the Argos showed up to play. They did. Everything fueled that motivation. All those betting odds against them fueled their motivation. And actually, I think a few hours ago, I think Kadeem Carey came out and just completely took a shit on the Calgary Stampeders. Which I'm not going to lie, a little bit of airing out your dirty laundry on social media. Don't know if I agree with that, but
I will say CFL players are known for airing out their dirty laundry.
Well, you know what it is? I feel like it's because of how hot free agency is here. Players really, it's funny. On one hand, it's a lot of fun in the sense of it creates drama. and drama really can spark interest, but on the other hand, it's unprofessional. And so it kind of it goes both ways in that regard. Probably not the smartest thing to say, but I'm sure he'll get over it. I mean, he just won the Grey Cup, so I think he's got his mind elsewhere.
Really, people? Do I really need to keep on seeing this?
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna lie. The amount of times that I go onto social media and
No, it's
I
like
see
every time
some.
I go to look for CFL news, I see that stupid streaker on my friggin' wall. It's like, people, like, enough. Like, so what?
Yeah, no,
But the latest thing I was just reading is
yeah.
that it looks like if Rick Campbell goes to Edmonton, the possibility of the offensive coordinator going with him. But yeah, I'm just saying, if there's, because they have a deadline set for Sunday for the new GM, so I'm just trying to see if Ed Harvey is going to be going to Edmonton or what the latest is on that, because that means that we have to be having a new GM soon too.
Yeah. Now, as much as it hurts me to say this, so at Canadian Football Central, as much as I mean, everyone knows that I'm a Bomber fan. Everyone knows here Rick is a Ticats fan. This, unlike my Bomber videos on Nolan Hockey Podcast, this is a channel that represents the league in its entirety. So we do have to talk about the accomplishments of the Argos in this game, despite the fact that it's not exactly fun for me. But there was a lot of really, really great performances here for the Argos. First of all, Arbuckle coming into that pressure, and it's not even like he played a insanely good game. He went 26 for 37, pretty decent numbers. 252, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, very run-of-the-mill game. But that was what they needed. The defense was going to make the big difference here for the Argos. And surprisingly, the defensive line didn't do nearly as much as I expected. But man, McManus, 6 tackles, 1 interception. An interception for Amos, an interception for Franklin. And again, it's not even like that they had made a crazy play in order to get this interception. They just played their position well. They just played their position the way that they needed to. They just executed exactly what was drawn up. Did they get a little bit fortunate with some Calera's mishaps? Yes. But if they're not in their position, then they're not able to take advantage of that. And that's just kind of the nature of things, is that some of the best teams, one of the reasons that they're so good is not necessarily because they do anything so exceptional that you never see before, but it's because they nail the basics. And then so when something comes up their way, they take advantage of it every time. And so that's why one of the reasons my Winnipeg Jets have been so successful going into the season now. I think they've lost the last 2 straight, but with all their wins they've gotten beforehand, having a really, really good special teams power play. When they get those opportunities, they put the puck in the net, and it makes a big difference in the game. And so doing well on special teams and being able to do well on a generic play is very key. Janarian Grant did as much as he could, and he did well. Again, still I think a loss that really the kind of stings for the Bombers, a guy that they wanted to keep around, but fortunately kind of went and found some future endeavors. And Brissett was huge in this game. Dijon Brissett with touchdown pass. He had done... it's funny. Why do I have stats from him doing returning? Kadeem Carey, 79 yards on 15 rushes. Nothing insane, but just did well what he needed to do. He was able to get a touchdown on a good run. And Toronto was passing that ball all the way around. And that was a big strength for them as well. As with Winnipeg, it can be a little bit predictable of where Calera's is trying to put that ball. I mean, you heard it, 7 targets for Kenny Lawler. You knew that Lawler was going to be a target. But with Toronto, they were sharing that ball. They were just looking for whoever was open, no matter who it was, no matter what number they were wearing. and they were able to do well with it.
All I remember is sitting there doing the live stream yesterday with you, and you're like, man, that Willie Jefferson interception, he didn't even have to freaking move.
Well, I just thought it was funny in the sense of that you threw a pick to a defensive lineman, which I'm sorry, that is still funny. Even though we lost, that is still funny. Willie Jefferson, it's funny. When he jumps up like that, he's not even trying to catch it. He's just trying to swat the ball. That's what he's very much known for. But then when I think he started to feel it right against his chest, he was kind of like, oh, we can actually get this thing, and then just brought the hands back, and he got an interception, even though I don't think that was his main intention when he jumped up. I think he was just trying to swat that ball or tip it or get a hand on it in some way and be disruptive. That's where Willie Jefferson is as good as he is. Again, even though I think the Argos have a better defensive line, guy like Willie Jefferson, there's a reason that he's had the longevity in this league, and it's because he's that damn good. And it's just a bit of an interesting situation as well with the Argos, with Hau'ole'ahu taking a bit of a hit early in the game and then coming out and still nailing it. He was 4 for 4, and he hit a 45-yarder with a hurt leg. Credit to him. Did well. Sergio Castillo played very well too. Unfortunately, we didn't give him very many opportunities for him to hit it down there, as we were constantly punting and not getting into field goal range. And it was one of those things where if the Bombers were even able to just creep up into field goal range on most drives, they might win this game. But it all fell apart for Winnipeg. And then 24 points given up in the fourth quarter was just the complete unraveling of the Bombers. You got anything, Rick?
Not really.
I still got more. I just wanted to see if you had anything.
No, I'm just going through player news and see what else I can find on the interesting posts.
That then brings us to a bit of an interesting point, and I want comments in the down below regarding this. And it's the thing that TSN was milking the absolute shit off of, which is is it a dynasty? Is it not a dynasty? Is it a dynasty? Is it not a dynasty? I have a take on that. To be honest, my opinion regarding this changes a lot. I want to start off with everyone online is pretending like dynasty has a set definition, and that is wrong. There is no set black and white definition. Kind of, I guess, the typical thing people look for is the three championships in 5 years. But my argument is, like, if you make 3 in 6 years and you make the finals every single time, are you saying that's not a dynasty? Because that to me seems like nonsense. And so it's one of those things where, as well, like, is there a difference between dominance and dynasty? Or if you are dominant, therefore you are a dynasty? Because there's no doubt the Bombers are being dominant. It just depends on if dynasty has to have the third, I guess, win or not. I'm just curious what you guys think. As Enoch Mwamba and Milt Stegall got into a bit of a debate. And I will say, I'm going to be honest, both of those guys are biased. As I know Mwamba played for Winnipeg very briefly. He was very much known for his time in Toronto. Mwamba obviously is very much in the not dynasty train, because he was on Toronto when they beat Winnipeg. Of course he doesn't want to, he wouldn't be okay calling it a dynasty. And of course Milt Steagall's on the Bombers side of things, and he says it is a dynasty because he played for Winnipeg for so many darn years. So it's one of those things where I don't really, I guess, take either of those takes incredibly seriously when I look at this. But at the end of the day, I think the Bombers need to stop worrying about that damn word. They need to just leave that shit in the past, worry about winning in the present. And I think honestly, the word dynasty and it being thrown around this has been such a distraction. Like, it is 2024. Win the Grey Cup in 2024. Stop worrying about 2019. Stop worrying about 2021. It's done. Win now. And so I think the Bombers moving
the
forward
past is. It's not even Bombers. I'm just saying in general, like, all the seasons are in the past. It's nothing that you can control. Yep. What you control is in front of you, and
exactly. Well, and that's how
worry about what's in front of you and not what's in the past.
Exactly, and that's the thing that I think the Bombers have almost maybe lost sight a little bit of, is that's what got them the win in 2019. Think about it: the 29 years, no Grey Cups. If they played the entire playoffs thinking about that, some of those guys would have cracked under the pressure. They would have, but they didn't. They were focused on the here and the now at the time, and they got it done. And then at that point, the story was written for them. They got the job done, and then they worried about the rest of that stuff later. And that would all be resolved in that regard. And they have to get back to that, because that's what got them the success they needed.
I mean, I could say the same thing about us. It's like, hey, stop thinking about
99.
We're always going to get... Well, it's not even 99. Stop thinking about, we're always a second half team. How about we start with the first half?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then we don't have to worry about the second half.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And so with all this, I think you can, because I know some people have been talking about the possibility of a Dinwiddie dynasty. I think that was the term I heard, or an Argo dynasty or whatever. Which maybe I'll put it
dynasty.
I'll put it this way: whether that is the case or not, personally, I think it's a little early. I think it could be possibly. I'll put it this way: if you consider it right now, fair enough. All power to you. Again, I think it's a bit of a fluid definition. So when it comes to that word,
but
the only thing I will say is if you call that it, then you need to call the Bomber one a dynasty, because they've done a bit more. So
my whole thing is, depending on what happens in free agency this year.
Yep.
If you can kind of spread around the players, so it's not just Winnipeg every year winning the West, or it's not just Toronto, Montreal winning the East. Spread things around, things will be different than others.
Yeah. I'm going to be honest, the Bombers need to actually make a bit of a splash in a free agency, in the sense of that every year we've been bleeding a few
Bombers,
players.
Buddy, please. Well, we're more into the splash before you guys are.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm just saying that the Bombers have just been bleeding players, though. They haven't brought in anyone new from other teams besides guys they've brought up through their own system.
Like,
They've done well with it, to be fair, but
so here's what I want.
I'm looking at what's best for my team.
So what I want is, see, it's different because CFL teams don't have scouts, not like other sports do. See, or
at least not as sophisticated, really.
No, they only have like director of scouting, which is like an assistant GM. It's like, how about you go have scouts, go down to, Division 2, Division 3, whatever it is.
They do have scouts. It's just very minimal. Like, it's not much.
No, I've never seen a scout on friggin' a CFL team, and I'm looking at their staff.
Oh, okay.
You guys have Danny McManus, who's one of 2 assistant GMs and director of U.S. scouting. But what I mean is, okay, I get that we want to have this ratio thing, but I mean, eventually all these old players are going to retire. Instead of always going after Toronto players, Winnipeg players, why not bring up some people from the States? Bring new players into the league where you're just
especially if you look at expiring contracts down in the United Football League
over and over again.
Especially if you look at expiring contracts down in the UFL.
It's not even that. It's people coming out of college, university.
Yep. Even if you're looking at lower level Division 1 teams that aren't necessarily guys going into the NFL, but guys that have shown a bit of promise with limited resources, I think.
I'll just use this as an example. So, everyone knows who Curtis Rourke is, and I'm trying to remember what that quarterback is from Laurier. But anyways, those are going to be the 2 up-and-coming Canadian QBs. Once Harris retires, Collaros moves out, Bo retires, you're going to eventually have to find new quarterbacks for the league.
Yep.
Those are going to be the two up and coming. Okay, Nathan.
Sure, Bethel
If
Thompson
Nathan
will
can
be
get,
out soon.
yeah. So I mean,
Mazzoli.
we're always recycling the same players. Like, go find other new players out there.
Yep. Yeah, no, and actually, it's funny if you look at the two teams in the Grey Cup this year. I think both of those teams have actually kind of done a little bit well with that, in the sense of Polk was the guy who came in kind of this year, and look at him now. I mean, if you look at a guy like Ontario Wilson, this is a guy who did well in the preseason. No one had ever, like, at least I had never heard of this guy before this year. And now he was in the conversation of Rookie of the Year, and now he's looking like a mainstay in the Bomber receiver corps. And the Bombers are lucky; they got him locked up to a rookie deal, so they got him.
I mean, it's only 1+1, but still, that's besides the point.
But it really saves on cost.
No, I know. And then look, you even have Samar Bridges. Like, it's not using the same players over and over and over again. It's like,
yep.
Like Adarius Pickett. I believe if you can read between the lines, Adarius Pickett is going to free agents.
Yeah.
So he was with Toronto, went to Ottawa. Again, like, these players are just being recycled. It's like, eventually you're going to just have to stop recycling players, and players are just going to get up there in age and they're going to retire, and
yeah.
New
talent getting brought to the league is always huge. Now, kind of getting, I guess, back towards the game. With the Argos win, this will be their 19th Grey Cup now. They still lead the CFL in most Grey Cups. They are the team that have been in the league the longest, but I think more impressively, that is now 9 of their last 9 Grey Cup appearances. They are 9-0, with their last Grey Cup loss, I believe, being 87. I think that's what I heard on the broadcast. If you can confirm that. It was something like that. Yep, the Edmonton beat Toronto in 87. That was the 75th Grey Cup. They beat them by 2. Damn, 17.
So 91, 96, 97, 04, 12, 17, 22, and 24.
Yeah. Yeah, it's no, but it's an impressive run for the Argos, and it's crazy. And it's crazy to imagine that, in the sense of that this is. There's been a lot of questions on how good management has been. Obviously, at least the asset management in terms of players has been very good. I know there's always been concerns about marketing and whatnot, but it's because of the attendance, and stuff like that, and the interest in the Argos. But they've been able to keep winning, and at the end of the day, the fans they do have. That is all that matters for them. I'm sure if you gave me the choice of Bombers winning the Grey Cup and Bombers always having a sellout every night, I'll take that Grey Cup, please. And so credit to them. And not going to lie, again, as a Bomber fan, this one hurts the most of the 3. But at the end of the day, I don't think we need to go scorched earth with this team. At the end of the day, we made it to the Grey Cup final for a reason. And this team still has so much talent, because if they didn't, they wouldn't have been in the game. They wouldn't have earned their way there after a terrible start to the season, and they just drove it back and got it back done. And at the end of the day, if you're the Bombers, give yourself another opportunity and then shoot for it again. And so the Bombers have shown that they can stay in it. That they can stay in the hunt for that third Grey Cup in their run that they've been wanting for a while, but they won't get it this year. Argos do not let the Bombers avenge their loss 2 years ago, and the Argos double up and get their second one in just a short amount of time. Anything else we got, Rick? I think that's pretty much all I got.
I'm just waiting for these rumors to actually finally happen.
Now, one thing we are going to do,
because then the off season will officially have
yeah.
begun.
Now, one thing we are going to do, as many have noticed, we do not technically have a video out yet on the winners of the CFL awards. We had so much going on, and it was Grey Cup and this and that. So, the day this video is posted, me and Rick will most likely be recording a video on the player awards and then uploading that after. I just thought Grey Cup was more pressing, and so we'll have a video up on that, and we're gonna try to have. I'm hoping we're gonna have a little bit more off-season content, maybe some player interviews, maybe some former players, something like that, come on the show, update video,
and then also reviews of the past season for each team.
Yeah, no, we'll probably do some level, some sort of breakdown in that regard. Maybe, and then of course going into next season, we'll have all that sort of stuff. So I want to actually give a big thank you to everyone who's tuned in, whether that's on the videos
over the season,
whether that's on the live stream. The live stream, we've never done the live stream for the games on the channel, and I think it has been a huge success. I think we've gotten some really good engagement from you guys. It's done very well in growing kind of our subscriber base, but we've gotten some really good engagement from you guys. I've had a lot of fun with it. I think Rick's enjoyed it as well. Would you say it's been a bit of a fun time?
I'm sorry, but see, I've seen you happy in some live streams. I've never seen, in the 2 years I've done this, I've never seen Carter so depressed last night in my life.
Yeah, well. Then again, if the game was going to be an Argo victory, especially the way they won, can't say you're too surprised.
Let's just put it this way: I'm glad that it happened last night, not next year.
Why? Oh, because of it being in Winnipeg.
Yes.
Yeah, no, that's why I'm really hoping for the Bombers to get back to the game, because I'll actually finally be there.
Not only that, but all the fans taking part in the player questions.
Yes, yeah, no, that's actually being really, really awesome, whether that's on the Discord or the Instagram, on our YouTube, on I think it's the CFL Forum as well.
Not only that, but the players actually taking time out of their busy schedule during the season.
Yeah, no, I want to give a big thank you to all of the players that we had on. I'm actually just going to pull up our interviews here because I do not want to miss a single one of them. Okay. So that is a thank you.
While you pull them up, a big shout out to guests Brinkman and Parrish on the Grey Cup victories.
Yep, congratulations to Jared Brinkman and Derek Parrish on that.
And AJ Allen for his first career pick six,
which we got to see, and having a good chat with him after the game. Big thanks to Micah Alway running down the field to sign my jersey. Really appreciate that.
Not only that, but don't forget to go check out Micah Alway's scouting app if you want to get your name out
which
there.
Which is Purple Shift. Make sure you guys check that out.
Oh, Carter still remembers.
Absolutely. So thanks to all them, which is the following, who came on for player interviews this year. That's Micah Alway of the Calgary Stampeders, Jared Brinkman of the Toronto Argonauts, AJ Allen of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, Derek Parrish of the Toronto Argonauts, and Terry Williams, former player for both the Calgary Stampeders and the Edmonton Elks. So big thanks to all of them for sharing their time.
Also, there is one other player. I think that we did it in the off season, but former Ticat bringing his career back to life and finding that soul, Mr. Braylon Addison himself.
Oh yeah, no, I don't even think that was in the off season. That was last year. That was I thought that was June this year. Of last year, June 5th, 2023. Oh. Yep.
My bad. I thought that was this year.
Oh no, you're all good. But yeah, congratulations to him.
So
he got that.
If you want a player to be interviewed
or anything like
reach out to Carter on social media.
Yep. You can just reach out at that'll be on the Canadian Football Central Instagram at Canadian Football Central. Very, very easy to remember. So you can reach out to that account if you guys have any requests about that, or even just comment them down below. Anything you guys
We'll try to get them on.
Yeah, we'll do whatever we can. And so but at the end of the day, just wanted to thank everyone for all the support that they have given.
And not only that, we actually get to meet them off, see what they're like out of the field.
Yeah, no, it's
who would have thought people would have been big chess players, people playing with NFL players.
God, we lost to the ping pong quarterback. That's right. Hey, oh my God, you know that he must have went 4-0 in ping pong games before that Grey Cup.
Don't forget, AJ Allen is a big chess player.
Oh yeah, no, AJ Allen, absolute beauty. Absolute beauty.
Yes.
That was a lot of fun. But even in a what is seemingly, as a Bomber fan right now, a sea of sadness, I am very appreciative of all the fun that we've been able to have this season.
When one door opens or closes, another one opens.
That's right, Rick. Inspirational stuff for the people.
I mean, my goal this offseason is going to learn players' names properly so that a certain someone cannot be texting
He's just going to spend an entire name. He's going to spend an entire day reading Roland Milligan. And so that way he doesn't say McGilligan.
Because me and Carter both know these.
Rick, you can't iron out every one of those, Rick. Then the channel loses its character.
Hey, at least I don't have to say. Well, the kicker for Toronto. At least
I was about to say the name. He's like, oh, the kicker.
At least I can say Luther Hukanu.
Lyram Haralahu. There you go.
Listen, I had to when
Hakunavanu, right? Luther
Hakunavanu. Yes. When he first came to Hamilton, him, Barlow, everyone, the first thing I said to him is, I'm going to be doing a Ticat channel. Can you please tell me how to pronounce your last name? And
he let you know.
He sat there and told me how to pronounce it.
There you go. That's a legend right there. We'll have to have him on the show sometime. That sounds like fun. But I think that's all we got. Is there anything else you got, Rick?
Just keep out for our content.
Yeah, and so for, I guess, the final time this season, excluding the awards video coming out in like a day or two, peace, love, and positivity to all the wonderful people at home, even if things seem bleak.
and Carter's wife says, screw the Jonas Brothers.
Yeah, no, she's just building some Lego right now. She's loving it. Yeah.
Can't forget her 2 cents.
Absolutely. So peace, love, and positivity, all the wonderful people at home, and we will see you guys for all of our off-season content that we got coming out.
Is it June yet?
I don't know. Am I gonna have to do the thing again now? I guess so.
No, I meant to do that on purpose. We're
doing it again.
Is it June yet?